Hey everybody, and welcome to Raising Vibrations. And you're with Simon today. And in this video, I'm excited to be sharing with you my perspective on the YOD, understanding the YOD. One of the subscribers had mentioned wanting to understand this deeper, and I'm sure that most of you out there are wanting to understand this configuration in this astrology chart. So some of you don't know what I'm really talking about. That's okay, because this video is specifically designed to help you understand how to interpret the YOD in your astrology. Okay, so let's get into that over there for us. We can change the slide. So firstly, let's have a look. Okay, when we're looking at the YOD or YOD in the chart, we're trying to understand a relationship between three signs. Okay, so as you can see over there, there's the first sign, there's the second sign, and there's the third sign. All right, now in this diagram I've specifically used Aries, Scorpio, and Virgo, but wherever there is three signs involved in a configuration that looks like this, then those will be the three signs that are involved. So essentially what I'm saying is that it's not always going to be Aries, it's not always going to be Scorpio and Virgo. Okay, so firstly, there's three signs involved, and then there's also three planets involved. Okay, and the three planets will reflect a configuration in which the YOD, an energy pattern, is trying to evolve your consciousness through. Okay, so it is an energy pattern within your chart that the soul is trying to evolve through. Okay, and it's broken up into these three main categories. Okay, firstly, we have what is called the gibbous phase in conjunct. Okay, now the gibbous phase in conjunct is a 150-degree angle in which planet A, planet B are in relationship to. Okay, so for some of you that don't know about aspects and phases, you can, check out the intermediate class that I've got, or you can contact me regarding purchasing a aspects and phases teaching if you want. But aspects and phases is just the relationship that planets or signs have to each other. So the phasal relationship between a planet, okay, and another planet in a YOD is reflected firstly through a gibbous phase. And this is 150 degrees from each other. They're 150 degrees from each other. And this is the first element, the first part. Okay, so you know how we spoke about three? Okay, well, this is the first angle. Then there is another angle, and that is the sextile. Okay, and the sextile, as you can see, is marked through a 60-degree relationship between the planet B, okay, and planet C as an example. So we have planet A, we have planet B, and we have planet C. Remember the three? And they are in their respective signs, right? So planet A has a 150-degree angle to planet B. Planet B generally has a 60-degree angle with planet C, and so that forms a sextile, okay? And then finally, the planet C and planet A have a relationship to each other, and this is called a full phase in conjunct. Can you see that those two are the same? And can you see that one is different? Specifically highlighted it that way, right? So we have a 150-degree in conjunct, we have a 210-degree in conjunct, and we have a 60-degree sextile. Okay, so very briefly, an inconjunct is an aspect in which we can't see two planetary energies, okay? Planet A and planet B can't essentially see each other. It's a blind spot. Planet C and planet A cannot see each other either, and this is also a blind spot. The difference between the two, between full phase and gibbous phase, is something that I'll explain a bit later. But just for now, we're understanding the core fundamental structure of what a YOD represents. Okay, three points in space connecting with each other, 2 points or two connections revealing an aspect that cannot be seen, a blind spot, and a third aspect in which two planetary energies and two planet or consciousnesses are very much in support with each other. All sextile angles are supporting and prodding. So when you're looking at understanding your yod, you're seeing three things, but fundamentally two. Okay, you're seeing one aspect or two aspects that are blind and one aspect that's creating a prod to develop awareness. Okay, so that's what the configuration looks like. Okay, 3 points, one of them being 60 degrees, other one being 210, and the other one being 150, or essentially 150 each if you want to see it that way. And there is a arrow that is being pointed at, right? There's a like a common denominator within these two that is having a lot of attention. Okay, so the planet A has attention from C and B, and B and C are helping each other, trying to understand what A is trying to tell them. Does that make sense? Okay, so if we move over to the next part of the slide, you can see here, understanding a yod. Now remember in the previous slide, I told you about 150 degree inconjunct, okay? This angle, okay, between A and B, this angle is what is understood as a crisis, okay? It's a crisis angle. It's a crisis relationship. So planet A and planet B have a crisis relationship with each other. And the crisis relationship creates a deep internal paralysis on a psychological level that says, I don't know. I'm not aware. I need more understanding. And so firstly, there is a huge tension between A and B that is being trying to be developed within the consciousness. Okay? So that's the first 150 degree angle that gets created. I'm confused. I don't understand. I'm not good at this. Doesn't make sense. So emotional and like paralysis. Okay. First one. Then what we do is we look at the 60 degree angle. Okay. And that is between planet B and planet C. Remember? So the sextile, the supportive angle is, hey, we can help. We can help you understand whatever it is that the focus point is trying to illuminate for us. What are we trying to evolve in this consciousness? What are we trying to develop as a sense of understanding? Okay. So the supportive angles, whatever planets they are saying, hey, we've got some information and we can help. We can tell you what it's about. Like, what are you trying to figure out here? Okay. So that's the supportive angle. And then finally, the 210 inconjunct is like a Scorpio energy. It creates an internal like limitation within yourself that is generally actually from the outside. Okay, it gets perceived from the outside at least, but when you see yourself in separateness, it's always other people blocking you or society blocking you or the rules blocking you or whatever of the sort. But really, if you see yourself through wholeness, the universe is saying to you, this is an aspect of yourself in which there is a limitation that needs to be confronted and then evolved through. So it feels like there's an outside wall blocking you. So between relationship, between planet C and planet A, there's a fundamental like block around the feeling of moving forward. And that creates an internal, like a limitation, a feeling of being limited, blocked by the outside circumstances. So the first inconjunct is crisis. The second inconjunct is blocks and limitations. And then the sextile says, okay, so what are we trying to figure out here? How can we kind of help this? And then finally, the focus point. Now, the focus point is just as the picture suggests, it's an aspect of your consciousness. So planet A, all right, that is saying, okay, what are we trying to resolve here? What is it that needs to be focused on and integrated as a way of removing the emotional paralysis and the limitations? So when you start to see the sextiles as a supporting mechanism and you start to see the focus as the consciousness, the conscious development of the yod, then what you start to notice is that there's this interaction between things that are happening to you that you don't see happening to you, that are deepening your sense of relationship to the universe, That would be the focus point. And then there's these aspects within yourself that help you understand what you are trying to ground or integrate. Okay, and that would be the supportive angle. Then the 150 degree and 210 degree inconjuncts are saying, here's where the fundamental crises are having. This is what the focus point is not able to see, or the inconjuncts are not able to support the focus point about. Okay, so if we go back to this chart over here, you can see that that's the focus point. Everything's pointing to there. You can see that the sextiles between these two are supporting each other. And here's the emotional crisis. There's the gibbous phase 150 degree inconjunct. And this is generally experienced as people coming into life and saying, there needs to be some correction here. There needs to be a sense of support, not support, pardon me, but this need for growth here. This is not right here. So it feels as if there's an internal like, I'm doubting myself. I'm not really sure. And then the other part, the full phase, is limitations, right? Physical limitations within yourself, the realization of what you need to actually confront as a way of saying, here's where I need to grow. Okay. So there's the full phase, the gibbous phase, and the focus point, and the sextiles, and then you can relate it to understanding the YOD, 150 degree inconjuncts, supportive angle, 210 degree inconjunct, and focus point. Okay. So hopefully so far right now, you've got an understanding of what we're dealing with, okay? So let's move over to a chart that actually shares these inconjuncts, these yods, and this evolutionary dynamic. So if we have a look at this chart over here, there's the focus point. You can see it there. There's the two angles that are coming there. You can see that Neptune is at a focus point in the chart. You can see that Chiron is here. It's in the third house of the astrological charts there, and it's in the constellation Taurus, okay? Right? Remember how I said to you earlier, that doesn't necessarily have to be a Scorpio Virgo energy. And then you see that the third element here, planet C, there's Mars at 13 degrees, okay? And that's in the fifth house in Cancer. Can you see the sextile that manifests itself there? And then can you see the 210 degree inconjunct? You can see the Chiron over there. The 150 degree. Okay, so there's your YOD, okay, in the chart. Now, when you look at this astrology, you can notice that, so how do we break it down? That's the question I want to put across to us. So how do we practically apply this to the chart? Well, firstly, we recognize that in this chart over here, the third house represents the way that we intellectualize our reality, how we put things into place as a way of organizing our lives, right? How do we put names to things and basically validate stuff? And you can see here that it's in the constellation Taurus. So there's around this thing around self-worth, this thing around what are my resources, and how do I express how is my inner dialogue to myself? So you can immediately see that the crisis here in this particular instance is something along the lines of, does my words have self-worth? When I share and speak, do I add value to energy, to the experience? Okay. What are the ways in which we ask questions? How do we develop our ability to understand our intellect? And does it have worth? Is there any value to what I have to say? Right. So that would be this part over here. Then the Mars in the fifth house sits here, and it says, okay, well, I have this expression, fifth house. Fifth house is all about the ability to express oneself, to validate your inner desires, okay? So to give creativity to my words, to give passion to my words, to give life to my words, as it were. Then it sits in the fifth house. So how do I then link my passion and creativity to my self-image? Okay, the fourth house is all about the way in which, not the fourth house, but Cancer is all about how I give the meaning to my sense of identity. How do I relate to myself in an inward way? So you can see here that now that we've understood these two planetary archetypes and we see the sextile, there's something around giving like power to my voice, giving a sense of nourishment to my creative gifts. And how do I actively express that? How do I speak up and say, this is what I would like to say? Okay. Now, so that's the sextile. The sextile is saying, hey, we're prodding you here and we're saying to you that you want to say something. What's the value in the truth? How do I relate to it emotionally? What is the expression of my voice, right? That's the sextile. Now you see the yod over here in the astrology. This Neptune can't see this Chiron. This Neptune cannot see this Mars. And so what's happening here in the terms of the focus point is something along the lines of, if we now had to understand Neptune in the 10th house Sag, would be something along the lines of like deeply trying to dissolve a sense of identity that once was linked to a belief system. Okay, trying to dissolve, Neptune, a sense of identity, 10th house, that was linked to a belief system, Sagittarius. Okay, so part of the story, part of this yod, and if you obviously have to look at the rest of your chart to try and understand more context, but between Moon and Uranus, new phase relationship. That's entirely new. The soul is trying to find and liberate itself from the old past life dynamics related to its sense of belief system, and it's trying to explore a new one. So just by understanding that symbolism over there, you can begin to see that this yod, this Neptune in the 10th house, is telling these guys over here and these guys over here, that the way in which I actively express my truth needs to come through the realization that whatever it was that I was identifying with in the past, Neptune in the 10th house Sag, no longer is how I see myself. And so in this lifetime, I'm looking to dissolve all cosmological understanding and belief systems and ideologies and perspectives as a way of realizing and recognizing that that was the past. And I'm trying to spiritualize. I'm trying to find a new sense of identity. I'm trying to see myself in a new way. So the Neptune is saying, I'll bring you experiences in your life that will show you what is this truth that you seek. And you are needing to find what value is in that truth and how do you link it with the expression of your identity. Expression of identity, 5th house. What is the value in the communication of this? And what type of experiences I will bring you that will show you these belief systems, these cosmologies. Now, I know this person personally, and I know that their whole entire life is about searching for the meaning in life that they can link with a sense of identity so they can actively see themselves through that belief system. It's like, this is the type of soul that says, I went to Catholic school at a very young age and said, this is not correct. There's no belief system or truth in what they're trying to teach you. I can see that this is total manipulation, right? Moon in Scorpio, Pluto in the 8th house. I need to find my own cosmology. I need to reject your truth. I need to express my own perspective. And so the yod in this chart is through its focus point, because the focus point is the thing that is the most intense. This is where you've got to see what is coming at you in life that you aren't able to understand completely. This is what's evolving, right? That's the point here with the yod. The focus point in this case, Neptune, is saying, I'm going to bring you experiences that will trigger these two over here, but these two over here are going to help you, support you through this process. So the limitations that the soul feels here is what types of societies I belong to that suppress or support my truth. Okay, that's the outside world. So in this person's case, they were growing up, they found themselves in going to Catholic schools that had an outside belief system that was not reflective of their own inner truth. And the Chiron in the 3rd house was, hold on, I see something differently, but people keep on telling me that what I see is incorrect. So do I trust myself? Are my words of value? So you can see here that with that Mars and that Chiron, the wounded aspect of it is, no, you're not allowed to express your truth because it's creating too much uncertainty in the way that we understand our truth, right? That's how that actually manifested for this person. But what was really happening is that Neptune was saying, I'm going to bring you experiences to create these internal crises so that you can liberate yourself from the experiences that don't support your personal identification, that basically don't support your personal identification. And through these crises, you grow to develop your own personal truth. And it's remarkable how beautiful this yod actually has shaped the way in which the soul identifies with its own personal truth. It's gone, I've watched the soul go from complete and utter experiences of needing to invalidate external faith as a way of validating their own internal faith, to going through experiences of following different types of core belief systems that created deep internal paralysis around neglect around their own expression. And then when needing to express, going, you know what, I can't actually keep my mouth quiet. I have to express this. I have to say these things. And that leading to other people then questioning their own truths as a way of realizing where their own illusions have been in the past. And Neptune reflects the nature of illusions. So part of this yod is actually stimulating other people's, look at the stacked 7th house, other people's perceptions of truth as a way of breaking down their, like I said, attachments, and causing them to find out what is their own personal truth. Because essentially all cosmological truths that are outside of ourselves are not a reflection of us inwardly. And that's actually how this chart and this yod actually manifested in this person's life. So really cool, really, really fascinating. So in terms of just grounding this again for everybody, there's 3 aspects to a chart, okay? 3 points. You have the focus points at the top where everything leads to. You have planet A or planet B and planet C in a sextile. They prod and push each other, but this planet focus point cannot see those and they cannot see them. So what happens is, as we go through life and life brings us experiences, we have these internal paralysis and limitations in which we need to confront and evolve through. And as we evolve through them, we realize that actually that focus point is bringing us experiences to develop whatever it is that we need to develop. So that's obviously exclusive to your own chart, and I can't be more specific than that. So the focus point, again, it's about developing your soul's evolutionary dynamics, and it's about a healing archetype. It's about realizing a new direction, and it's about initiating a new direction as well through the crisis and through the limitations. Okay, everyone, I really hope that you enjoyed this video. Thanks so much for watching. I really hope that it brought you the illumination that this person has experienced within their own lives. And if you're interested in, of course, me teaching you about how you understand a yod and yourself, you can always book time with me, and I'd be happy to teach you. I'd be happy to share with you my knowledge. Okay, other than that, thanks for all of your support that you provide for me on this channel. I love doing these things, and of course your enthusiasm always keeps me in the space of going, I want to create more, I want to create more. Okay, all right, everyone, have a fantastic time, and I'll see you again. Take care. Bye-bye.